Hello, Scoop Troop. Welcome back to another episode of The Sober Scoop. My name is India Gantz. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about sleep. Sleep is a little bit confusing in sobriety. I talk about sleep as being a really big benefit, and for the most part, an instant benefit. Your sleep improves in a lot of ways right away. But there's kind of another side of it that is really difficult in sobriety. I struggled with the getting to sleep part of sleep. The actual sleep that I was having was better quality. I was sleeping all through the night. All of that stuff was amazing. But I had to reteach myself how to get to bed at night, how to teach myself and show myself that it's bedtime, start winding down. So there are some things that happen instantly with sleep, and there are some things that take time. And in today's episode, we're going to break those down and talk about some things that you can look forward to right away in sobriety, and some things that you got to invest the time into and reap the benefits down the road. So, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the Sober Scoop. This is a judgment-free zone where we talk about how to get sober and stay sober. You're not alone. I hope you feel seen. Quitting alcohol is the best decision I've ever made. So I made a video about sleep and saying how my sleep got instantly better when I quit drinking. I used to wake up every single night between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. like clockwork. It was literally part of my routine to where when I had a boyfriend, I would let them know, just so you know, I typically wake up at least once a night between 2 and 4 a.m. It was part of my routine, and I just accepted that. And I didn't want to look at myself and say, oh, maybe it's because my body is literally reliant on alcohol and it wears off around 3 a.m. every night. And I get anxiety. My body physically wakes up because it needs more alcohol. I wake up and I'm like, where am I? What am I doing? What did I do last night? Blah, blah, blah. That's a horrible routine to be in. And I made a video on TikTok saying that my sleep got better right when I quit drinking. And everyone was like, really? Right away? That's crazy. And yeah, it's a two-part answer. So yes, my sleep got better immediately. I stopped waking up every single night between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. pretty immediately after I quit drinking. Because once alcohol was out of my system, then it's I wasn't physically craving more of it in the middle of the night. Because, if you drink all day long, or even just drink in the evenings, and you drink a 6-pack of beers or a 12-pack of beers or whatever, it's you're drinking, and then you just stop. And you're supposed to stop for 8 hours while you sleep, right? But when you've been drinking so consistently, a couple beers every hour, then your body's what the heck? You expect me to not have alcohol in my system for 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever? And it's not the mental side of it, because mentally we can tell ourselves, don't drink. I mean, we can try at least. I didn't drink every single morning, for example, so I would go the entire night without drinking, and then I would tell myself, don't drink, until I said that it was socially acceptable at 2 p.m. or whatever. So I can mentally tell myself not to drink. But that waking up between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. is a physical response to not having alcohol in my system. My body is was so used to having alcohol in its system that, once I've been asleep for 4 or 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours, whatever it is, then my body's we need more alcohol. It's that SpongeBob episode, water. It's alcohol. It needs it physically. That is when it gets to a dependency point where your mental toughness and your willpower does not have control over your body physically needing alcohol. So anyway, when I quit drinking, my sleep did instantly improve. I slept through the night, and I remember just thinking, this is so crazy. I have not slept through the night in years. Imagine that. Even those nights where I went out and partied and got way too drunk and passed out, like I still woke up in the middle of the night, even when I was so passed out. Every single night. And you know what's even worse? My routine was fall asleep on the couch while watching TV every night. And then around 2 or 4 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever, I would peel myself off the couch and go move to the bed. And that was my routine. Even when I had a boyfriend, that was my routine. They stopped trying to bring me to the bedroom every single night and like tuck me into bed. And they just started letting me fall asleep on the couch. And then I move myself to the bed in the middle of the night. That's how regular it was, which is crazy. So that part of it did instantly improve. Cool. I slept through the night. But here's the two-parter and the thing that did not improve right away. So I struggled for quite a while to get to sleep. That part did not come instantly when I quit drinking, because I used alcohol to fall asleep every single night. I actually didn't know how I would get tired or like tell myself that it's time to go to bed without alcohol. It was my evening routine. I drank nonstop until I fell asleep. And I would usually fall asleep on the couch with a half a beer sitting there on the side table or a half a beer in my hand. I continued to drink until I fell asleep. And I remember my recent ex-boyfriend, he was like, yeah, you know, I get that, I see that, whatever. He was very understanding of how I drank, whatever. But he said, I would never bring alcohol into the bedroom. And I did. Like, if I was in bed and we were watching a movie in bed or something like that, like, I would have a beer on the side table. And I say beer as a general term, by the way. I don't know. I dated this English guy for a while who used the term beer for wine, seltzer, cider, and beer. So I use the term beer as an overarching, like, term for not hard alcohol, like any drink that is not hard alcohol. That's just me. So anyways, when I say beer, that's what I mean, if you didn't put that together. So, yeah, I would be in bed with a cider sitting there next to me, half drunk or whatever. And yeah, he was like, you know, I get, you know, you drink a lot. He like accepted that about me. But yeah, he was like, I don't bring beer into the bedroom. That's where he drew the line. I didn't, that's for sure. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, that part didn't improve right away. Being able to get to sleep was hard. Oh my God, one of the hardest things. And sometimes I forget about it because I'm having like selective memory about my sleeping, because my sleep has improved so much. And so I try to focus on that. But I have to remember that some people who are listening to this podcast might be quitting alcohol today or this week or this month or whatever. And don't expect that your sleep is going to poof, just be instantly better. It will probably be better, like your actual quality of sleep. Also, they say that when you have alcohol in your system, you never get like a full REM cycle. And so even though you think that you're sleeping, you're really just passed out and in this, like, I'm doing a hand signal, but you're not in a full state of sleep. You're in this kind of half, nap, basically. You don't get that full deep sleep. And this is scientifically, like, you might feel like you are sleeping hard. That's how I felt. I felt like when I drank, I would pass out and I would be knocked out. Nothing could wake me up. Like, that's a deep sleep, right? Wrong. That is a surface level half sleep. And alcohol is just keeping your senses at bay so you don't wake up. That's not quality sleep. So that part improves pretty quickly too. Like you actually get quality sleep, you get a full night's sleep, and you do wake up feeling pretty rested. Some people say that they feel exhausted in the beginning of sobriety, and that's your body adjusting. You know, everyone is different in those beginning stages. And if you're feeling exhausted, listen to your body, sleep more. Like, let sleep be your medication. Give your body what it needs while it's healing. But I, for one, felt very rested. Every morning I woke up, and I was also like on the freaking pink cloud train where I was like so elated and happy to be sober and experiencing life as a sober person. So I was like on cloud 9 for sure. And I would wake up every morning like excited to be awake. So that helped for sure. But anyway, the actual getting to sleep, that part was hard, guys. Oh my gosh. I didn't know how to tell my body that it was nighttime. Alcohol was kind of the way that I took myself from day to night. It was like, okay, during the day, I'm working, I'm busy, I'm maybe going for a walk, I'm like being quote unquote productive. It's funny that I still felt like I was grinding and like working hard. I was very high functioning. And I think that's why I didn't quit drinking for so long, because I was like, clearly my life isn't in shambles, okay? Like, I haven't completely ruined my life. I'm still making a lot of money. I had, still to this day, my highest month financially while I was a drinker. I had several different partnerships, and I sold this one product on TikTok Shop, and I made like 25 grand just in 1 month selling that product from one video, amongst other things. And it was like a really high month for me financially. So I still considered myself like a high performer while I was a drinker. But anyway, that's a separate conversation. In fact, I'm writing that down as an episode to make. But with regard to sleep, alcohol is how I would take myself from that mentality, like that hustler working hard, to you can now chill. And I feel like that transition was so stark. It was like, boom. But I don't know. Okay, I'm saying all of this, but then I'm thinking back to when I was a high performer, when I was doing well, making a lot of money with a drinking problem. I was also drinking in the morning at that point. Not every day, but if I woke up with a hangover, I was drinking in the morning. So I was working and making money and doing well financially with alcohol in my system all day. So crazy. I cannot believe I did that. But a lot of times, I shouldn't say all the time. A lot of times alcohol was the sign it's time to wind down. So I would say a typical routine, because I didn't drink in the morning every single day. Like I said, only if it was like a debilitating hangover, then I started drinking in the morning. But on a lot of days, I would tell myself, like, it's not good to drink in the mornings. Like, that's when you have a problem. So I would try to get my work done. And then around 2 p.m., it started with 5 p.m. We've all been there, right? Where like 5 p.m. is the magic number where it's like okay to start hammering drinks. Yeah, I told myself that for a while, but then I was like, oh, but my company, like the other people who work here are East Coast, so maybe 2 p.m. is my new 5 p.m. So then I started telling myself that it's okay and appropriate to start drinking at 2. And I would kind of transition from working on my main job that I was like employed for. And then at 2 p.m. I'd start having drinks and start working on my personal projects. So I definitely used alcohol as a transition drug, I guess, like symboling to myself that I'm switching gears, basically. So yeah, I would switch gears using alcohol. And then also like at nighttime, I feel like being tipsy means that it's like sleepy time, right? Like drinking makes me tired. So I would start drinking, and then eventually I would have a pretty good buzz going, and then it would turn to like, I'm just exhausted. And that means bedtime. And I drank myself to sleep every night. literally every single night. So I was so confused when I quit drinking. Like, how are you supposed to fall asleep? Alcohol was literally my melatonin. Some people use sleeping drugs, like melatonin or like heavier sleeping pills, to get to sleep. I used alcohol. And that is part of the alcohol addiction, quote unquote, reliance, dependence, whatever you want to call it, that I feel like not a lot of people talk about. Quitting sleeping pills would be really hard. You would really, really struggle to get to sleep. In fact, that's a very hard thing to quit when you're addicted to sleeping pills. But nobody talks about the difficulty with getting to sleep after quitting alcohol. I mean, some people talk about it, but it's not like this big part about sobriety, getting to sleep. And so a couple things that I did to kind of trick my brain into thinking that it was bedtime are the following. Number one, for a while, now this is controversial, I guess, in the sobriety community, but I had non-alcoholic beers very early on in my sobriety because for me, keeping that ritual was key. So, and when you don't get a buzz from the non-alcoholic beer, you don't want to have 6 or 7 of them. It's pointless. You're just like, nothing's happening, right? Like, I'm not feeling anything from this. So you really only end up having 1 or 2 sometimes. But anyway, so when it was time for me to start winding down, I finished my work 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever. Then it's like, okay, now it is time to chill. Especially when I wanted to like watch a movie with my boyfriend, I didn't know how to relax. My brain was going at 100 miles an hour, and it would go at 100 miles an hour until I fell asleep. Like, I had no chill. I was unable to relax. And I stayed up really late. I was like out in the dark with a headlamp on doing yard work at 11 p.m. I mean, it was difficult. So, yeah, I would have a non-alcoholic beer to trick my mind into thinking that I'm having a drink. I think it helped with the ritual of having an evening drink, having a nightcap, whatever you want to call it. Like, the flavor of a non-alcoholic beer made me think that I was drinking a full alcohol beer. And it was totally a placebo effect. And I would get the 0% ones, 0.0% Heineken. So it wasn't like 0.5%, you know, they have all those fancy like IPAs that have less than 0.5% of alcohol. The Heinekens, that's the one that I would go for because it's 0.0%. There are several different options that are 0.0%, and I always recommend in sobriety, especially in the beginning, you look for ones with 0.0% because you don't even want to mentally play that game where you think that you're consuming a little bit of alcohol. Later in my sobriety, like if I'm out at a bar or something, I will order a non-alcoholic beer, even if it has less than 0.5%. Like, it's fine. For me in my journey, it's fine. I don't care. But in the beginning, I think just mentally knowing that you're not getting anywhere near alcohol feels good. And it gives you that flavor of a beer where your mind literally is tricked. Like, I thought that I was drinking a beer. And it was really helpful for me. It told me that it was time to relax. It helped with the evening ritual. It helped, transition me to nighttime. Like, you can chill. It really worked for me. And I understand that there can be problems with NA beers. Some people think that it's the gateway to getting back to drinking. So, you gotta do what's right for you. And if it's not right for you, don't do it. With this podcast in general, I definitely hope that everyone listening takes what they want and leaves what they don't. I am not a trained professional. I'm not like an addiction specialist. I'm not a recovery coach. I don't have any formal training, and I only share what works for me. So you have to take what you want and leave what you don't. And not everyone's journey is going to look the same. So for me personally, the non-alcoholic beers were key for tricking myself in the evenings. because without them, I was literally off the walls. I mean, it was crazy. That hyperactivity and restlessness it made me extremely productive. Oh my God. We had just moved into a new place, and so there was tons to do. Packing, redoing the yard, like hanging stuff, building furniture. So I would literally tell my boyfriend, like, go hang out with the boys, whatever. And I'm going to sit here and build IKEA furniture like all night long. And I loved it. Oh my God. I was off the walls. But the non-alcoholic beer helps. Another thing that helps is adaptogen drinks. And I talk about these all the time. My favorites, Recess, Hi-O. Hi-O is my favorite at the moment, I must say. And maybe I'll leave a link in the show notes for you where you can shop Hi-O. I think I have a 10% discount for you guys if you use that link. So they're kind of expensive. So 10% off definitely helps. So yeah, Hi-O is my favorite right now. That's Hiyo. I just think their flavors are the best. So anyway, what am I saying here? What I am saying is my favorite adaptogen drinks are Recess. You can buy those at Target. Hi-O. You can buy those with my link. The thing that all of these have in common is they are adaptogen drinks. And adaptogen drinks are using botanicals, functional botanicals, they call them, to give you this relaxed, stress-free feeling. And in my opinion, you kind of have to mentally buy into it. Like sometimes I really feel the effects and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel totally relaxed. I'm not stressed. Like I feel great. And sometimes I'm like, this didn't do anything. It's the same drink. So I do think it has to do with your stress levels and if you mentally like buy into it. The brain is very powerful. And that's why I say that like the non-alcoholic drinks really helped me mentally and adaptogen drinks can really help. So anyways, adaptogen drinks, what makes them adaptogen drinks is the functional botanicals. A lot of times it's lion's mane, L-theanine, ashwagandha, magnesium, these functional natural things that make us feel relaxed, which is really nice. When I am super high strung, hyperactive, stressed, cracking into one of those does make me feel better. It makes me feel relaxed. And in the beginning of my sobriety, when I could not fall asleep, those helped me a lot. They were my unwind drink. And I can tell you that I have used those to replace alcohol, and I'm not addicted to those. I don't need one every single night. Okay, like I said, take what you want, leave what you don't. For me personally, I didn't get addicted to them. I don't think you can get addicted to them. I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's not like I used to drink 10 beers a night and now I drink 10 adaptogen drinks and I'm like just as addicted to those and I need those to fall asleep. No, it's a very different ball game. And for me, 1 or 2 adaptogen drinks really just helps me unwind, helps me mentally process, like it's the evening, it's time to chill, it's time to relax. It helps me dive into a movie and just chill. It helps with the muscle memory of sipping on a drink while you're watching a show and relaxing. It really does help. And when I'm having an ultra stressful day or something crazy happened at work, it does mentally help me to say like, I'm going to have this drink. Because I used to have something stressful happen in my life and I'd reach for alcohol. So it does help with that. Like I'll reach for this adaptogen drink. It is a muscle memory thing. It's how we used to drink alcohol. So it helps to have something you can reach for that's like a little bit more special than your freaking Diet Pepsis and sparkling water. It helps me. And it helps a lot of you guys I know because so many of you have told me that adaptogen drinks really work for you and have like changed your lives. I mean, they really do have a huge impact and they help in so many ways. So highly recommend. You can shop Hi-O in the link in the description. Anyway, so sleep in general, it improves drastically. Eventually, you will be like the sleep queen. All those people with their basically ankle monitors, you know, their Apple watches and Aura rings and all that stuff who are tracking their sleep. I don't do that. I don't track my sleep. but all of them are telling me their sleep scores. And oh my God, I went out and I got a 27 score on my sleep. And I'm like, oh my God, I sleep like a baby every single night. I swear. I would say 2 to 3 times per year I have a bad night's sleep. And that's when it's not affected by something else. Sometimes we have a bad night of sleep because we have to wake up for something, or somebody's snoring so loud right next to us or whatever. But in general, I sleep like a baby pretty much every night. There will be 1 or 2 nights where I don't sleep great, and it's usually because of a certain factor. It's because I did something different. It's because I took a nap. It's because I slept in too late or whatever. So most nights I sleep amazing, and I feel like I have cracked the code to sleep. Sleep is something that people are always working on. Like, everyone always wants to improve their sleep because it does drastically improve your overall health. And when I quit drinking, I truly feel like I cracked the code. Like, I have the hack for sleep, and it's not consuming alcohol. But on the other hand, getting to sleep was hard in the beginning. I will admit that. Now it's not. It's such a great feeling to just get tired and go to bed. And I remember that concept was so foreign to me when I was a drinker. I was like, I will never get tired if I don't drink alcohol. I literally wouldn't. In the beginning of sobriety, I'd stay up so late. I'd be so productive late into the night. I would sleep for like 6 hours and wake up and feel amazing and be ready to go. Like, I was just so energetic. And I was like, how am I ever going to get into a normal sleep routine here? But you do eventually. And it's a beautiful thing to just get tired and then go to sleep. Wow. You don't need anything to force you to sleep. By the way, I don't drink NA beers anymore at all, other than when I go out to bars or something. But I don't have non-alcoholic beers at home. I don't have that. I've transitioned from that quite a while ago, but I don't have those in the house anymore. I don't need those. I don't need that flavor. I don't like glorifying alcohol in that way. At this stage of my sobriety, I am like not a big fan of non-alcoholic beers that are like trying to be alcohol. It's just, it doesn't work for me now. It worked in the beginning. And I wanted to say, I don't have an adaptogen drink every single night by any means. In fact, I'll go like a month or 2 months or something where I don't buy any adaptogen drinks. Okay, fine. But a lot of times I like to have them available in the fridge. Like, if I'm having a randomly hard time getting to sleep, or my mind is racing, or I'm stressed or whatever, it's nice to crack into one of those. But I by no means have one every single night. I do not need one to fall asleep. So I want to make that clear. Like, being all natural, and I'm not saying those aren't natural, okay? They actually are very natural. But literally just like drinking water or whatever, and then getting tired and going to sleep is such a beautiful concept. And it was so foreign to me. Like, oh my God, when I was drinking, I literally just didn't understand how you would just get tired and go to sleep. I used to think about how I was on America's Next Top Model when I was 20 years old. So I was under the legal drinking age, and so I was not allowed to drink on the show. And I didn't have a drinking problem at that point, so it was no problem to go 6 weeks without drinking during America's Next Top Model, which is cool thinking back. I didn't always have a problem. But anyway, on the show, you just, like, you're so busy all day, right? Filming and stuff like that. And then you just get tired and you go to sleep. We weren't allowed to have our phones. I didn't even have a book or a journal or any of that type of stuff. Music. They took away my iPod shuffle. So I had nothing. I didn't play on my phone until I fell asleep. I didn't watch TV until I fell asleep. We had no electronics at all. So I would just get tired and go into bed and fall asleep. It was actually crazy. And it's crazy to think back on that. Now I could do it as somebody who's 15 months sober about. But when I was drinking, I was like, how did I do that? I would look back on that time and just be like, how did I do that? Because I could not imagine going to sleep without my medication, basically, my sleeping pills, which was booze. Couldn't imagine it. So what a 180. Like, my relationship with sleep, it's not even something that I knew needed to improve. I just thought that waking up in the middle of the night was part of my routine. It was normal. And I kind of got used to it and didn't have a desire to improve it. Sleep was such an unexpected benefit in sobriety. And I'm so grateful for it now. Like I said, it's like a life hack. I feel amazing. I feel healthy. I've lost 50 pounds, and I do believe that sleep has to do with that because sleep affects your overall health so much. So it's wild. Sleep is an unexpected benefit. Some things will happen immediately. Some things will happen over time. But overall, your sleep will get better. I can guarantee you that. I have not had anybody message me saying, oh my God, my sleep is horrible. Some people in the beginning say that they can't fall asleep. They struggle with sleep, this and that. Nobody who has been sober for a long amount of time says that they have bad sleep. Unless you're literally diagnosed with like insomnia or some sort of sleep condition. You know, you need a CPAP, you can't breathe when you sleep, whatever. These certain conditions, that's separate. And I hope that everyone is logical enough to separate those two things. But if you are a normal, healthy sleeper, nobody in sobriety has worse sleep because they don't consume alcohol anymore. Quitting alcohol will improve your sleep quality 100%. So enjoy that. And thanks for listening. I'll see you for the next episode. Bye.